Hello and welcome to Duel Bros. I am here with an updated Time Thief deck profile. We have been on a bit of a hiatus because, well, editing takes forever. And I do not have the free time I used to. Anyway, gonna hop right into the deck profile. Okay, we're gonna start off with 3 copies of Time Thief Regulator. Basically, Rescue Rabbit, tribute it, special summon 2 Time Thief monsters from your deck with different names. Then, if it's in the graveyard when an Xyz monster is destroyed, you can special summon it from your graveyard. Then we have 3 copies of Winder. When it's normal or special summoned, you can add any Time Thief card from your deck to your hand. You can also detach a material from an Xyz monster you control to special summon it from your hand. We have 2 copies of Time Thief Adjuster. Adjuster, if a Time Thief monster is normal or special summoned, you can special summon it from your hand. If it's normal or special summon, you can send a Time Thief card from your deck to the graveyard. You can't activate both effects same turn, though. Then we're running 1 Beazle Ship, 1 Temple Wall, and 1 Chrono Quarter. Beazle Ship can special summon itself from the graveyard by detaching material from an Xyz monster. It has a quick effect on the field to tribute itself, to attach 1 card from your opponent's graveyard to a Time Thief Xyz monster you control. Temple Wall can return 1 Time Thief monster from the field to the hand to special summon itself from the graveyard. It can tribute itself to banish 1 card your opponent controls until the end phase. Chrono Quarter, when an Xyz monster leaves the field by card effect, you can special summon it from the graveyard. It has a quick effect to tribute itself to make the next battle damage you take, your opponent takes instead. That's the Time Thief monsters. Next we have triple silver gadget and double gold gadget. You can do that either way. 3-2 is just the ratio I prefer. Basically, when they're normal or special summoned, you can special summon a level 4 machine monster from your hand. If they're destroyed, you can special summon the other one from the deck. Then we're running 2 Tin Goldfish. When it's normal summoned, you can special summon any level 4 from your hand. We have 3 copies of Performance Hat Tricker. If there are 2 more monsters on the field, you can special summon it from your hand. Then, to round out the monsters, we have our hand traps, Skullmeister, and Damage Juggler. Skullmeister is basically Ghost Ogre. That's basically Karibo with the ability to search Hat Tricker. We're not running Ash Blossoms because we are running Time Tearing Morganite, so if you activate that card earlier in the duel, you're not going to be able to activate the hand traps, and these are level 4, so they can still be used for your Xyz summons instead of just being dead cards in your hand. Well, that is it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. We are running 2 copies of Time Thief Hack. It's a continuous spell. When the turn Xyz monsters are summoned, they cannot be targeted or destroyed by effects. Once per turn, you can target an Xyz monster. It gains 300 attack for each material. And if one of the materials belongs to your opponent, it can attack directly that turn. You can get a really beefy Redoer with this effect. And with it attacking directly, if you can double that attack with either Utopia with double or nothing, or with number 60 Timeless Durgless, you could potentially OTK with Redoer. Then we have 2 copies of Time Thief Startup. It's a quick play. You can special summon 1 Time Thief monster from your hand. And then it has a graveyard effect that will come up a bit less often. You can banish it to equip 1 Time Thief spell, trap, and monster from your graveyard to an Xyz monster you control. Then we have 1 copy of Double or Nothing for our Utopia package. Just get a 10,000 attack power monster on the field. Quick and easy OTK. To round out the spells, we're running 2 copies of Overlay Network. Overlay Network, continuous spell. You can activate 1 of its effects per turn. You can either target a monster you control and special summon a monster from your hand with the same level but negate its effects. Or you can attach 1 material from an Xyz monster to your hand. So that would be a way to special summon your hand traps, such as Skullmeister and Damage Juggler. It's also a way to get an extra special summon with Hat Tricker simply because it's not a once per turn, or a way to get your copy of Winder back to your hand. Not to mention, with Redoer taking the top card off your opponent's deck, if you haven't activated Time-Tearing Morganite yet, you can potentially get a hand trap off the top of your opponent's deck and use it yourself. Speaking of which, we are running 2 copies of Time-Tearing Morganite. Once you activate one copy, its effects go on for the rest of the duel. You will not be able to activate effects in your hand, but you will draw 2 cards every draw phase instead of 1, and you get 2 normal summons per turn. You can also, if it's in the graveyard, banish it and discard a copy, and then your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when you normal summon this turn. Alright, well that is it for the spells. Let's get into the traps. We are running 2 copies of Time Thief Retrograde. If you control a Time Thief monster, it's a counter trap. When your opponent activates a spell or a trap, negate it and equip it to your Time Thief monster. Then we are running 2 copies of Time Thief Power Reserve. It is basically a trap monster. You activate it, it summons itself and 1 machine Time Thief monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It has a graveyard effect where if you have an Xyz monster with both a spell and a trap attached to it, you can banish it from the graveyard and then banish 1 card your opponent controls. Then we're running 1 copy of Time Thief Flyback. You can activate it to equip any Time Thief card from your deck to a monster on the field. You can also banish it from the graveyard to attach 1 material from your opponent's graveyard to a Time Thief monster you control. And then to round out the traps and the main deck, we are running 3 copies of Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine. Probably butchered that name. But basically, it's a trap monster that special summons itself as a level 4. Alright, well that is it for the main deck. Let's move into the extra deck. We are running 3 copies, didn't almost drop a card there, 3 copies of Time Thief Redoer, boss monster of the deck. During every standby phase, you can attach the top card of your opponent's deck to it. Then it has an effect where you can detach materials from it to activate different effects. If you detach a spell, you get to draw a card. A monster, you banish him till the end of the turn. And a trap, you can return 1 card your opponent controls to the top of your deck. And to help that out, we are running 2 copies of Time Thief Perpetua. She has a standby phase effect as well. She can detach material to special summon any Time Thief monster from your graveyard. She has a quick effect that you can attach any Time Thief card from your deck to a Time Thief monster you control, which we also run Time Thief Double Barrel. Double Barrel doesn't attach like Redoer, but he does have a similar effect. You can detach a monster to gain 400, a spell to take control of a face-up monster your opponent controls, or a trap to negate the effects of 1 effect monster on the field to the end of the turn. You can only activate that in chain to affect your opponent is activated, which is why we're running at 1. It doesn't attach itself. You have to have Perpetua or one of your other cards to do it, so it's not the easiest effects to get off. Alright, well that's the Time Thief part of the extra. Then we're running Utopia Double and Utopia, just simply I can't talk, I really can't. Anyway, running the Utopia package, quick 10,000 swinger to OTK if your opponent has a monster with 2,000 or less attack. Another OTK, we have Raider's Knight and Arc Rebellion. Raider's Knight pulls out Arc Rebellion. Arc Rebellion detaches a material to gain attack equal to all other attacks on the field. It will just be the only monster that can attack that turn. Then we run number 60, Durgus the Timeless. It's another way to get an OTK. You can detach 2 materials from it to skip your next battle phase and double the attack of 1 monster you control, which you can tag up with Utopia to potentially get a 20,000 attack power monster. This package you don't have to run, I just prefer to, the Dreadnought package. And then to round out the extra deck, we have Tornado Dragon. Now, that is it for the Time Thief deck profile. It's a really balanced deck. It has control and OTK rather evenly. It has a lot of ways to OTK, and with Redoer you have a lot of control options. well, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the deck profile, and comment anything you want to say. It's very early in the morning and I'm kind of jittery on coffee if you're wondering why I'm talking weird. Anyway, have a good one.